Birdie Radio, 103.9 FM. Time now for The Ascent with Sam McGee. It's found at CrestmontPW.com. The following is sponsored by Crestmont Private Wealth. And this is Birdie Radio.
Welcome to The Ascent. This is Sam McGee with Crestmont Private Wealth. We have offices located in Houston, Texas, and Boerne, Texas. Today we're going to be talking about the Trailhead. As part of this series, we talk about the Trailhead, the Ascent, and the Summit as three distinct areas of your financial journey. And today we'll be talking about the Trailhead. Now, you may be wondering, what is that? Of course, everybody knows what the beginning of a trail is. If you hike or you don't hike, I presently don't hike because I have plantar fasciitis. But today we're going to be talking about the financial journey of the Trailhead and why that's so important. So we like to keep it real on this show, and if you have just found us, you might find this to be refreshing because we do keep it real and we have real talk. Before we get to that, I need to give you our legal disclaimers. This material and discussion is for informational purposes only. The opinions expressed are mine only. It does not constitute investment advice and is not intended as an endorsement for any specific investment or product or strategy. All right, with that out of the way, let's talk about the Trailhead. What do I mean by that? So you're at the beginning of a hike, and you're all suited up. You've got your hiking boots on. You've got your water. You're looking up, and you see the top of this mountain. That may be what it feels like as you think about retirement. And if you're young, maybe it's not even your visibility. It's so far away you can't even see it. But it's there, okay? So what we're talking about is the Trailhead. People that are younger, that are just getting started in their financial journey, and why this should matter to you. Now, we've all been young once. If you're listening to this show and you're older, this may apply to your children. This may apply to a friend. So listen on and be informed. So at the beginning of the Trailhead, you're really just getting started. Now, how does this relate to our industry and financial services? Well, I'm going to keep it real. A lot of people in our position, a lot of people that are professionals that are out there providing financial advice, portfolio management, are really interested in working with people that are near the top of the mountain. Those people that are nearing retirement, they've built up liquidity, they've got a lot of assets to be managed. Obviously, that is an area where there's a lot of complexity, and we talk about that in this show. That's called the Summit. What we are talking about here today is the Trailhead, just getting started. Why is this important? Well, number one, you can change the trajectory of where you're headed a great degree when you are younger, when you're just getting started. And then you may be wondering the why. Why does Crestmont Private Wealth focus on this? Why would we be working with, talking about, advocating that you do get started in the right way? Real simple. It goes back to my career trauma. So my first job out of school at a company, not to be named, my job was basically to take families that had a high amount of debt and help them consolidate that debt into, guess what? Still pretty high interest rate debt because they didn't have good credit. And what became apparent to me was, gosh, if they just were empowered with a little more education, they would have never gotten into that situation to begin with. And so I found myself passionate about helping those people find their way out of, AKA, the ditch. And what's important is to realize that everyone can gain empowerment through education and get a better situation. But without that knowledge, it's going to be difficult. That led me to this current topic of the Trailhead, an area which I believe is a huge void in our industry, a huge void at many firms that they simply don't focus on it. So we divide the life cycle into three different stages. The Trailhead, which is those who are young, just getting started in their career and starting to build wealth, may not have a plan, but need a plan. They probably need debt management. They're considering a lot of life events, and those have financial implications. And then the Ascent. This is where the crux of life gets a little crazy. I am currently in the Ascent myself. I've got two kids, one in high school, one in elementary school, married, very involved in a lot of volunteer activities. as well as work. And so the Ascent could also be characterized as chaos, but that doesn't sound really good. So we're going to call it the Ascent. And then lastly is the Summit. And the Summit, you haven't arrived, okay? This just is the beginning. This is when you start living off your portfolio. And that's really important that you have an income plan in retirement, preparing for retirement, understanding what your income looks like. But let's take the inverse of that. A lot of financial advisory firms focus on the Summit. That's when a lot of assets have accumulated that they want to manage, okay? And that's understandable. That's business. This is America. But the trailhead is as important, if not more important. The inverse is, what are you doing to contribute to the pie throughout your career? That is where we want to focus, and that is where we want to talk about this in this show today. So if you're an adult with young children, one thing that we have done in the past is provided really fun and simple ways to engage your kids over the Christmas break. And if you're interested in finding something to do when you have cabin fever the next time we have one of these cold snaps, you can also reach out to us to get this. And I'll just give you kind of a simple background on it. So the past 3 Christmas seasons, what I've done is I've sit down with both of my kids, my son and my daughter. One has a little more interest as a capitalist than the other, I will be honest. And we've sat down with them, and I've given them a report each year, this little template, and I've said, hey, what I want you to do is I want you to research a company. I want you to talk about their strengths, their weaknesses, why you think it's a good company. What do you think about it in terms of an investment? And that right there is financial education. Now, my kids are 11 and 14. I've been doing this for 3 years. It starts early. Don't wait till you get to the trailhead, parents. Don't wait until they're in college to go take a financial literacy courses. Get started now. Get started when they're younger. And if you're interested in hearing more about this, give us a call. We can be reached in Houston or at the Bernie office, and my email address is sam@crestmontpw.com. This is Sam McGee, and this is The Ascent, brought to you by Crestmont Private Wealth. We are located in Houston, Texas, and Bernie, Texas, at 604 South Main, 1 Riverway in Houston. You can reach us at www.crestmontpw.com. So back to the trailhead. We're just getting started, and we're on our financial journey. Maybe we just got out of college, and we've got our first job. What are the typical things you hear about? Get signed up for your retirement plan in your 401k. Get your match. Make sure that you understand all your benefits and that you're building a budget. I remember pressing my own shirts, making my own PB&Js with a crust cut off, and taking them to work. You may be doing that as well, and that's all fine and good. Life insurance is also important as you get married and have children. These are just basic things, but the thing that gets ignored a lot of times, because you may not have an advisor who's focusing on your needs early in your career, is the importance of compounding. Very important. As you're getting started in your investment journey and your financial planning journey, one of the things that can typically happen is the idea of investing sounds like it's something for the rich. Now, I would take the counter to that. I would tell you that getting started and having even in small incremental regular amounts can contribute to the power of compounding. The power of compounding it can be a very effective way of building wealth, and it's not overnight. But as you're on the trailhead and as you're getting going, it's important to establish discipline and establish a plan, one that you can do within your budget. The first step is really creating that plan on the trailhead to make sure that you are on a journey and not going without a map. First things first, when you are younger and you're starting to earn more money, one of the most basic principles that can be taught is the concept of delayed gratification. So with delayed gratification, you're effectively paying yourself forward by deferring and setting aside your capital for an investment for a later day. Let me repeat that. Delayed gratification is going to be setting aside capital for your future self. So there's different ways to do that. Unfortunately, when you're younger, you don't have advisory firms and financial advisors beating down your door to come talk with you. we've done something a little bit different at Crestmont Private Wealth, and let me share what that is. We have developed a system in which we encourage and advocate a plan, an investment plan, when you are early in your career and help you visualize what that can look like if you stick with it. Now, with investments, there is no such thing as a guarantee. There is risk of loss, and there are markets that will go up and down. But we're talking about a career. We're talking about 30, 40 years before you might be using this capital. Now, you might be wondering, hey, I've got a car that I've got to pay for in a couple of years, or I've got student debt I need to pay off, or gosh, I need to save for a house down payment. We get that. We understand that. It doesn't mean that you can't have a bucket and a strategy that could apply in that instance as well that would vary in risk compared to the 30 and 40-year capital. The most important thing is getting educated, getting an understanding of what your habits can do for your future self. Why else is this important? Financial literacy is incredibly important. And I know that there's great school districts and colleges that have adapted more financial literacy, but I think this is also something that is just a universal skill that everyone should have. And I think there should be as much access to education as possible. And that's something we want to do, is help empower those that are younger so they can make better choices, and honestly, so they can end up being long-term clients of ours. We want lifetime clients. And if we can help change their trajectory for them in the future towards their goals in retirement, fantastic. But there's a lot of things to navigate between now and then, and we understand that. So back to the history on why this is important to us. It's pretty obvious. It's because we want to be able to provide financial advice that is consistent across multi-generational approach. And we back that up with the way that we do business. The way that Crestmont handles billing at our office is multi-generational family billing, meaning that children of adult clients, older clients that are just getting started in the workforce can take advantage of frankly, a more economical fee schedule and get the same class of advice. So this is Sam McGee with the Ascent, brought to you by Crestmont Private Wealth. We're located in Houston, Texas, and Bernie, Texas. What we're talking about today is the trailhead. Those that are just getting started in their financial journey, they're taking a look at future earnings. They're talking about getting married, buying houses, starting families, maybe having children, all up in front of you. The Ascent is when you're starting to get closer to retirement. The Summit is right near retirement, and you start living off of your portfolio. But what we're talking about today is the trailhead. The trailhead is getting started in the right direction and being prepared well with the right tools to make sure you can get from point A to point B and meeting your goals. If you're interested in an example of what this may look like, reach out to us. My email address is sam@crestmontpw.com. I am the owner, and I live locally in Bernie and travel to Houston, Texas quite frequently. We'd love to hear from you. If you're thinking that this could be valuable to you, we do want to hear from you. We have examples for your specific situation that we could share after a conversation. However, I think the most important thing that we can talk about is just basic principles. As you're getting started, we want our clients to be educated in understanding the value of the net present value of building a financial plan. When you're on that trailhead, I get it. It's tough. Let's use the analogy here. Let's say you just get started and there's headwinds, bad weather. Oh gosh, maybe your feet hurt because something happened. Maybe you twist an ankle. Hey, look, investment has risk. It does, and it takes time. It takes persistence, and it takes discipline. So no one's going to have a button for you to go to the summit without you taking action. What we try to do at Crestmont Private Wealth is we try to help those that are on the trailhead or the ascent or the summit have prudent plans towards their retirement and other life goals. So when you're on the trailhead, it's a lot different. Okay, you're talking about housing, you're talking about cars, maybe student debt reduction, getting married, maybe an engagement ring. Look, I get it. I've been there. I'm 48, okay? I've been on the trailhead, and yeah, there's a lot of twists and turns. But if I could go back, and if I could get started a little bit earlier and do things a little bit differently. Even as a financial advisor, I would. And so that's why we're trying to reach you. We'd love to hear from you. This is Sam McGee, CEO and owner of Crestmont Private Wealth, and this is The Ascent. My email address is sam@crestmontpw.com. We are here locally in Bernie as well as an office in Houston, Texas. If you send us an email, we'll send you back a compliant example, a white paper that we have on 3 different people on the trailhead. We have Joe, Jim, and Jack. And let me tell you, there is a big difference between Jim, Joe, and Jack. They all took 3 different paths, 3 different levels of investment and frequency investment with the same return. And the result may be shocking to you. Again, investments have risk, including loss of principal, but this example may illustrate for you the importance of regular contribution and a plan. And we hope to hear from you. Reach out to us, Sam McGee, CEO and owner of Crestmont Private Wealth. I can be reached at sam@crestmontpw.com. You can reach us at www.crestmontpw.com. Or contact us at one of our 2 locations in Houston, Texas and Bernie, Texas. We are building a series of podcasts of content that could be meaningful to you, whether you're on the trailhead, the ascent, or the summit. Different stages of the financial life cycle. It's all important. No matter what part of the journey you're on in your life and your financial journey, we want to be there to help advocate empowerment, education, and help you navigate it. We really enjoy talking about these topics, and I hope you enjoyed the show. This is Sam McGee with The Ascent.